it still is remarkable to me how this discovery vector exfoliated, meaning it just went in all directions. Okay. Good day to you from Anagalactic on this Wednesday, June 10th, 2026. Today I'll be going over the discovery sequence which has come my way, which I've been broadcasting for 4 years. This is the 4-year anniversary of my AE station, which you may not be able to read, but is actually just the letters AE. That's the name of my channel. Today I'll be talking about a few philosophical issues at the top echelon of science right now. It's on everybody's mind. Who's anybody? That would include you. We'll be talking about the I Ching, one amazing book, a couple of thousand years old, just to round it off, because the I Ching, which is of course a Chinese book, underwent an evolution, but the essence of the system of the I Ching is a binary system of 64 hexagrams, 2 to the, I get this wrong sometimes, it's 2 to the 7th power, because it's a binary system. It is considered by most people, I believe both in the East and the West, to be a book of divination. Holy smokes, that's not science. No, it's not precisely science. However, it's quite a human activity. Kepler, Johannes Kepler, was an astrologer, and he even served kings their horoscopes, mostly to make a living. Let's give the guy a break, for Pete's sake. But there is a decided interest in the relationship between the heavens, the planets, the stars, etc., and what goes on Earth. Is there a relationship? Well, of course there is. But can we divine anything from it? Well, the I Ching gives a good system, actually a model of approach, which I consider to be ultimate holy. This is a holy book. It's sacred scripture. That does not mean you can start invoking sola scriptura, which has been the downfall of at least 3 religions already. Let's leave the poor Chinese culture out of that shit, okay? What we want is the dynamics of the system, the relationships, which are geometric, essentially. But it deals with heaven and earth, and that's what we're going to begin by talking about. These are called Gua, the 64 Gua. If you know anything about the I Ching, you know what I'm talking about. Gua is a Chinese word. Hexagram is a, well, I would assume that that's a Greek word. But it refers to the 64, well, hexagrams. I've been studying the book for over 50 years. I consult the book. I actually do the divination sequence, which is mostly a meditative sequence, kind of like Be Here Now. And you know about Be Here Now. It's one of the foremost expressions of what meditation is good for. So I'd like to give an overview of what is meant by the I Ching dynamical system. It is a series of relationships, which begins with a fundamental relationship, a binary relationship, between 2 realms which have been known since the beginning of mankind's history. And these 2 realms are called heaven and earth. Already a big red flag might go up for a lot of Western scientists. Oh no, that sounds like the Bible. Yes, it does. It certainly does. And in the beginning of my video series 4 years ago, one of my very first videos was on the 2 realms, which is heaven and earth. We are locked on earth. We'll never leave it. There's nowhere to go. There's nowhere else to live. So we're stuck on Earth. Now, men have stepped foot on the moon, but if you're a rational man, you know that that's just bullshit. Yeah, a man stepped foot on the moon encased in a giant diver's suit, and those guys could hardly wait to get back to Earth. Because if you stay on the moon, you're going to die, and no 2 ways about it. You're not going to Mars, we're not going to the planets, we're certainly not going to the stars. But we can see them. We can see the moon, and every child sees the moon. That's heaven. Because you can't touch it. You can't go there. Although you could, if you're the United States government, you can go there. But human beings in their right mind would never even think of going to the moon. There's no reason to leave the Earth. Once you're outside the atmosphere, or indeed, more than about 6 miles above the lower layers of the atmosphere called the troposphere, you're going to die. And people who go up to the top of Everest are dying. And the whole time you're above the yellow band, you're suffocating. And you'll die within days, no question about it. Although men have gotten to the top of Everest without oxygen assist. Unbelievable. I used to read every single book that I could about Himalayan expeditions, all the way from Mallory to, oh my God, the great Austrian climber who was one of the first to ascend. Actually, he and another man were the first to ascend Everest without oxygen, which has been done several times since. So there's no way to get off the Earth. Human beings are locked on the Earth. And that's a very, very important consideration. If you're a rational man, you definitely understand heaven and earth. They're entirely separate. Oops! Oops-a-daisy! Where is earth? Is earth not in heaven? Of course it is. So it's superpositional. Earth is part of heaven. It's just a very special part. Why is it special? Is it because humans are on it? You could say so. And in fact, the I Ching does say so. But that's not really a very complete statement. The reason the earth is so peculiar, such that every religious system that's ever been, and most rational philosophical systems, make an absolute distinction between the realm of heaven, which is infinitely large, and the earth, which is a tiny speck. So what makes the earth so peculiar? The presence of humans is one way to say it, but you're not thinking clearly if that's all you say. The very reason that the earth is so peculiar is because it has an ecosystem. And that ecosystem is so complex, as every child finds out very early. While still in the single-digit phase of life, every child will achieve his maximum capability of understanding the universe because you can see it without bias. And when you look at the moon, you're converted to the way of Islam. You're converted to the way of salvation, to the way of heaven, to monotheism, to the creative force, and that begins our discussion of the I Ching. We'll be using the translation of Alfred Huang, one of the most extraordinary men who's ever lived on this planet is Alfred Huang. And you got to be careful if you look up his name, Huang, because there's two of them and they're both extraordinarily famous. But one of them is a dancer. The Chinese are an amazing civilization, an extraordinary culture. And it looks like they're now in the military lead, and the United States has taken good note of that. And so we have a political situation, the confrontation between the industrial West and the newly industrialized China. We're not going to go into that now. Instead, what we're going to go into is the implicate order of David Bohm. David Bohm is the most famous quantum mechanist of all time. He even surpasses Paul Dirac. Paul Dirac was basically a mathematical tinker. But David Bohm was marked from birth to discover for the only man to ever make a rational deduction from quantum mechanics. And he became so famous for this. He had prolonged, extensive audiences with the Dalai Lama, who claimed that David Bohm was his guru. And David Bohm also had over 10 years of continuous collaboration with one of the most amazing philosophers of the modern era, a man by the name of Jippu Krishnamurti. And the interviews between these two men who are interviewing each other can be found on YouTube. You won't find a lot about Alfred Huang, but if you search, you'll be able to get his copy of the I Ching, which he translated. He was locked in a Chinese prison during the Cultural Revolution because he was a scholar, but he survived it. And then he came to the United States. I'm not sure he's still alive, but he might be. Alfred Huang is one of the most amazing scholars of the modern era, and he translated the I Ching. There have been several translations of the I Ching. The most famous of all is Richard Wilhelm's, because his was the first. And John Blofeld also translated the I Ching into English. Each of them provides a systematic approach to that book, and each man differs quite distinctly from each other in their approach to that book. The book, as I say, is composed essentially of 64 images. But we're going to concentrate today. This may be your introduction to the I Ching. If it's not, you're still going to learn something. There's always something new to learn from the I Ching. What is it? It's not a book of divination. That's ridiculous. If you're trying to divine what to do in your life and you're consulting a book to do so, that's hit or miss. It might work, and your best bet is the I Ching, but are you actually doing divination? Not by the strict definition of the word divination. What you're trying to do is correlate your mind with the dynamics of the universe, which has an implicate realm, according to David Bohm. That was his inference from the quantum mechanical system, which of course goes beyond science. And if you don't go beyond science, you get nothing from science, because we're not robots. We'll never be converted to AI, and AI will never become conscious to the proportion that humans are conscious. No, we are rigged by DNA to be in tune with the universe. And that is an amazingly profound statement I just made, because it means that you can get to heaven and save your life in the eyes of the Creator for all eternity. You can rescue yourself, can you? No. You cannot rescue yourself. No man can save his own life. But what you can do is hedge your bet. What you want is the approval of the one who might save you. That would be your Creator. Is that in the book of the I Ching? It certainly is, just as it is in David Bohm's Implicate Order, and indeed in Bernardo Kastrup's Analytic Idealism. All of them directly imply what the creation actually teaches all children. As I began to say, the heavens declare the glory of the Creator. It also declares more than that once you turn on your rational mind and figure things out for yourself. You have to turn to the creation. You have to study the ecology. And you can't help it. You will. You do. And you draw your conclusion from it. And every child knows instinctively that there's a Creator who created everything. Love, the mind, the consciousness, everything that's human, everything that's ecological, everything in heaven and earth is bound together in one continuous system. I can prove that from physics, mathematics, and geometry. But I'm not the first to have done so. I'm just the most recent and most complete, coherent exponent of the obvious. If you don't believe in a Creator, it's because you're going to hell. And that is a magnificent statement, which Yeshua said and emphasized, if you don't rationally figure out who you are and what you are and where you are, you're going to hell. But the good news is that gets rid of all the bad people. So all you have to do is turn on your mind and recognize reality, which is instinctive. You actually can't help it. And that's the condemnation. Every man knows God. Oh, certainly the new atheists know God. That's why they hate him. Because if you reject the testimony of science, of rational logic, of what your mind tells you that the universe is telling you, then you're evil. You're disgusting. So you'd better believe in God. And let me just repeat what Muhammad said. Once an atheist, always an atheist. You will go to hell if you haven't figured this out already. Except, there's a catch. There's a catch. Because Allah is all compassionate and all merciful. He's pure love. And of course, he created us to love him back. You'd better, or you're not human. And that's why you're going to hell. It's because you're not human. If you don't return the love that was given to you, you're worse than a robot. You're demonically possessed. And all Western scientists are. All of them are. All of the white scientists are possessed by Satan. And that's what I'm going to talk about today, but I thought I would introduce it on the note that will help you, not to hurt you. No prophet, I'm not saying I am a prophet, but no prophet or guide is here to hurt you. But you better be cautious, because 99 out of 100 are definitely here to hurt you if you live in America, or Europe, or definitely Israel. So that is the situation. It's the war between the sons of light, who did wake up. That would include, I would say, all of the Islam people. Although then you have to be cautious, because of course, even among Yeshua's disciples was a devil. All Western scientists are devils. They lie in their teeth, and they know it. From Richard Dawkins to Sam Harris to Michio Kaku to all of them. Everyone on the YouTube circuit that presents science to the public for billions of dollars in reward, just like the professors, they're all possessed by Satan. And that's a fact that Muhammad said, Yeshua said, every prophet has said that. They begin by saying that. And that's for your comfort. That's to help you. That's to give you hope. Because don't you want to see Hitler burn in hell? Perhaps you want Netanyahu to burn in hell. So does God. So if you want to see the evil men of this world, like your stupid asshole President Rump, of course he's going to burn in hell. It's very, very serious. You have to turn to your Creator. And that's how the I Ching begins. Not with earth. It begins with heaven. So the very first hexagram is called Qian, which Huang spells Qian, which I believe is pronounced Qian. And what it means depends on the translation. Huang has the best translation of all. It's called initiating. That is a direct statement of David Bohm's discovery from quantum mechanics. Now, where do I fit in? I've discovered the physical realm of the implicate order and the physical realm that unites heaven and earth and religion and rational logic. That's been sought for millennia. I got it. I got it. I have the scientific answer with the mathematical proof. So that's what I'm leading up to. Now, David Bohm's approach to God is indirect because he himself claimed not to believe in God. That doesn't make any difference at all. And also, Bernardo Kastrup, the man who invented the alternative to Western physicality, which of course does not believe in God at all, Bernardo Kastrup also says that he doesn't believe in God, but I don't really care, because if he's destined for hell, nothing can save him. But I'm not interested if a man is going to hell or not. I'm only concerned if he exposes the truth that real humans need. That real humans, such as you and me, and people older and younger than us who are alive right now, we all need to repent, which is very easy to do. All you have to do is change your mind from your current vector, which is death, to life. And the way you can do that is several tens of thousands of approaches are correct, but the one I always like to mention to children, because they respond to it instinctively, all you have to do is look at the moon. And if you look at it long enough and open your mind, you'll be saved. You'll go to heaven. You won't go to hell. You'll go to heaven. That's what I'm here to tell you. It's good news. Religion is good news, except in the West. It's very good news in Islam. But they too are warned severely. If you read the Quran, which I strongly recommend, you'll find out that on every single page of the Quran, really every part of the 114 surah, which are short chapters, Muhammad repeats until you're sick of hearing him say it. The same thing that Yeshua said. The same thing that every prophet has said. You're going to hell if you don't do something. And what do you have to do? It's the easiest thing in the world. My recommendation, which I just relearned yesterday, what I learned over 50 years ago, look at the trees and listen to them and meditate on the trees. You will have your mind changed. That's what the universe is trying to do. It's trying to change your mind so that you'll unite in hope with the creation, which is being destroyed by the United States. The earth is about to be incinerated, and everything is going to be gone. But not your consciousness, because if your consciousness is going to be gone, so is Hitler's, so is Netanyahu's. Every murderer will get away with his crimes. And according to Western science, that is the new atheism, that's perfectly rational. No, it's not. No, it's not. Sam Harris is going to hell. And so are all the Western scientists. Richard Dawkins, who is on the verge of death, is going to hell. But you don't have to. Nobody has to go to hell. Why do you want to go to hell? Do you even know what the hell is? Well, you don't have to figure that out because it's negative. Why would God, your creator, make you conscious, show you the ecology, reveal perfectly clearly that he loves you forever? Why would he want to kill you and turn you off and undo everything he's done? That's irrational. Of course God wouldn't do that. And now you know who God is. He's the only being who can save your life because you were created. You're not king. You're not the prince. You're not a god. You're not going anywhere. You're stuck here on the grave. This is the graveyard where everybody dies and doesn't come back. What happens to your consciousness? If you say that it's just turned off, you're going to get your wish. You'll get that wish. But if you think about it and use your rational mind the right way, you'll realize that the I Ching is right. The Quran is right. The teaching of the gospel of Yeshua is correct. It's so simple. All you have to do is do the impossible, which is to change your mind. You can't. Once an atheist, always an atheist. Once a fool, always a fool. You'll never change your mind. You will go to hell, and there's nothing you or anyone else can do about it. Unless, and this is a big unless you unite your mind with reality, that you actually start using your mind. What is your mind for? You probably don't know. But yes, you do, and you'll be held accountable. Because unless you figure it out, what that means that you don't figure out the way to heaven, the way of salvation, the way to get God to save you, which is pretty obvious because that's the default. He does want to save you, or why did he create you? You can learn all of this from the creation, and that's the only purpose of meditation. Buddhist meditation is useless. Every form of meditation, including Zen, is useless. If you go into a little room or a church and meditate, it's useless. You're not using your mind correctly. You weren't born to go into a cave or a stained glass room with a bunch of creeps who are trying to get your money, for instance. That's not what you're supposed to do. You're not supposed to stare at your belly button and be here now. You're supposed to look at the creation and understand its dynamics, because you're part of it somehow. But you didn't come from the ecology, that's been proved. So David Bohm got the right framework. Bernardo Kastrup got the right framework. And Alfred Huang exposes to us, because he's a guide, how the I Ching teaches you the dynamical system of God, beginning with the first hexagram called, the way I learned it 55 years ago, Chen, heaven. Heaven is 6 yang lines. The next one is 6 yin lines. Yang and yin were not part of the original system. That was added around the time of, I believe, Confucius, when the book was already old. But this is one of the sacred texts that Islam says is given to every culture, every society, as an extra guide, besides the moon and the trees and the wind and the ecology of the earth, which teaches you that your Creator loves you and wants to take you to the next level. That's the truth, so help me God. Now, Anagalactic, which is my name, I guess, I cannot be terribly concerned with opinions of me. I have a job to do and I'm going to do it no matter what anyone thinks. And devil take the hindmost. While we still remain doggedly devoted to explaining our reasons for things. This is the royal we. I'm speaking not just for myself, but for Al-Ghazali, for Muhammad, for Yeshua, men such as ourselves. We won't stop. We will tell the truth. No matter what Sam Harris says, no matter what the United States wants to fund in order to promote this system of satanic deception. No. You have to go directly to the universe, directly to creation. You have to listen to the trees. You have to look at the moon and think about it deeply. That's meditation. Astronomy is the best form of meditation, and that comes on the highest authority. The heavens declare the glory of your Creator, who is pure love, and that's the only reason you know about love at all. All right, so the devotion that I'm expressing may no longer be seen as defensive. Of course, I've gone through the mill. I've been tricked. I've been traduced. I've given up. I've undergone despair. I've descended to hell. I know what you're going through. It seems like you can't get out. That's your fault. But it's not entirely your fault. You're up against forces that are so much more powerful than you, but they stand between you and the Creator. No, they don't. They simply have tricked you. Your parents tricked you. your teachers tricked you, your society and culture, certainly your government tricked you, and you are more comfortable being tricked than you are waking up, which is the easiest thing in the universe to do, is to wake up. You can meditate on the trees. You can meditate on the stars, the moon. You have to look at them. You don't get this from a book, although you can read books which can guide you onto the path, and the I Ching is one of them. The Quran is another. The New Testament testimonies, they have the truth in it too. The Old Testament, called the Tanakh, composed of over 60 books collected over several millennia, they have the truth. And they'll tell you from a different perspective how you can learn to repent, which is easy. You just simply refuse to go to hell because it's irrational. You can wake up to cosmic love. That's the purpose of science. That is the purpose of science, is to wake up to the dynamic presence of the Creator, which is all around you. You can't escape it. If you deny it, you're going to hell. I'm required to say that. Now, it is said that Solomon knew the languages of nature. He could talk to the birds. He could talk to horses. I have known men who can talk to horses. So that hasn't been lost. That's part of wisdom. When you become in tune with the creation was your friend from the beginning. You don't have any enemies once you're on the road to heaven. Nothing can stop you from getting to heaven once you reach a certain threshold, which again, extremely easy to do. It's just that men are stupid. It's worse than that. Men are immoral. And that's the proof. All right. Getting some flickering in the light here because we have an extraordinarily high wind. We may lose power. There's a huge wind blowing outside right now. So I'm going to make haste to finish this video because the lights are flickering. There could be some power line coming down. Or worse, we may be entering Armageddon. It's possible that a nuclear bomb just landed on Jerusalem. Oh my God, anything could happen now. Considering what's being done to the Islam nations, those are the true people of God that takes the place of the former Israelites. God doesn't lose his people. He has 2 billion of them. They're called Muslims. And they're being attacked by the false Jews. I hope you know that. I know that you don't. But that's okay. I'm simply giving you the good news. And part of the good news is that God is going to win this fight on earth. He can't lose. There's no way that God is going to be defeated. He set the whole thing up. Who do you think created Satan? Like Satan just came from another universe? Even though Satan is a spirit, God created Satan. And God has already consigned Satan to hell, which is earth. So Satan is in hell. He's on earth. With about 200 fallen angels. Isn't that fantastic? Isn't that funny? You're going to hell if you don't believe it, because I'm a guide. Now, there were 2 trees in Eden. And I think you know that the tree of the knowledge of good and evil was forbidden. Why would God do that? Well, I'll tell you the Sufi answer, since I'm the only man who actually knows the answer to that question. Why were there 2 trees in Eden, and one was the tree of life? And that's never mentioned again. There's the tree of life, but over here is the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. It could have been called the tree of Tweedledum and Tweedledee, because that tree never existed. It never existed. That's a parable for what actually happened in Eden, which you don't know, and neither does any Christian. The Islam people do know, though. They know what happened in Eden. But I can't go into that because you're too stupid to listen. So I'm going to give you some information for your level of intelligence. But that's 35 minutes. Oh man, how I try to teach you poor Americans and anyone else who wants to listen all the things you need to know which nobody is ever going to tell you. I know everything, and you're trained to hate me because I said that I know more than you. Oh, I can't possibly know more than the American scientists who say that the universe is expanding and that black holes will swallow everything and that God doesn't exist and there's no such thing as Jesus, there's no such thing as Muhammad or Islam or the Quran or any holy scripture. That's bullshit! And I say the opposite, so of course I'm wrong. I'm outnumbered! So is Yeshua. Stay tuned, we'll have more. Thank you for putting up with me. I devote about 1/3 of my time now to ranting because I'm following the apocalypse to Armageddon. I'm tuned in to a man named Glenn Deason, and if you want to be horrified, as I definitely love to be, because I know who's going to win. So this is like watching a chess match. What's going to happen to Iran? Oh my God! The people of God are being attacked by satanic forces from Europe. Oh, it's horrendous. Yes, it certainly is, and it's going to get worse. Why is Europe gearing up to attack Russia? Why is Russia being attacked? Why is NATO? What's going on? Why is our president insane? Why are these megalomaniac murderers governing all the white people? Because they're under control of the fallen angels. Are you? Bernardo Kastrup is. You're either for us or you're against us, but it's so easy to join us. All you have to do is be willing to be persecuted to death by your peers. If you're willing to do that, and Yeshua showed us the way, just let him kill you. But if you're speaking the truth from your heart, God will see you, and he's going to save you, and he's going to make your enemies pay through the ass! Amen. Keep looking up. We'll be right back. Thank you.